Good morning. Today is Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. The Jewish calendar follows the cycles of the moon, and the lunar month is about 29 and a half days. Plus, there is some flexibility when we proclaim Rosh Chodesh, what day we proclaim as the beginning of the next month, in order to determine when all of the Jewish holidays are. So in addition to the guideline of the new lunar cycle, and that's all it is, it's a guideline, there are a few rules that we follow that could alter choosing a date that is not exactly the beginning of the lunar cycle. A few different rules. One of the rules is Lo Adu Rosh. Rosh refers to Rosh Hashanah. It means the first day of Rosh Hashanah. Lo Adu. Adu is Aleph, Dalet, Vav, which stands for the numbers 1, 4, and 6. Or in terms of days of the week, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. In other words, Lo Adu Rosh, the first day of Rosh Hashanah, cannot fall on Sunday, cannot fall on Wednesday, and cannot fall on Friday. The first day of Rosh Hashanah cannot fall on Wednesday because that would mean that Yom Kippur, which is 10 days later, would fall on Friday. And we cannot allow Yom Kippur to fall on Friday, which is adjacent to Shabbos. Also, the first day of Rosh Hashanah cannot fall on Friday, because that would mean the Yom Kippur is on Sunday. Again, adjacent to Shabbos. We don't allow that, because it would be too difficult if Yom Kippur and Shabbos were adjacent to each other. If Yom Kippur was Friday, then we would have to make cholent on Thursday and keep it hot until Shabbos. And that's no way to enjoy Shabbos. And if Yom Kippur is Sunday, then you would have to buy your break the fast bagels on Friday, and by Sunday night they would be stale. So for those and other reasons, we don't allow Yom Kippur to fall adjacent to Shabbos. But also, we do not allow the first day of Rosh Hashanah to fall on Sunday. Because if the first day of Rosh Hashanah falls on Sunday, then Hoshana Rabba, which is the seventh day of Sukkot, this year falls this Friday, it would fall on Shabbos. This year, the first day of Rosh Hashanah was Shabbos, Hoshana Rabba is going to fall on Friday. But if the first day of Rosh Hashanah would be Sunday, then Hoshana Rabba would be on Shabbos, and we never allow Hoshana Rabba to fall on Shabbos. Now, Hoshana Rabba is not really a holiday. It is an activity that we do on the seventh day of Sukkot. Every day of Sukkot in Shul, we take the lulav and esrog, we walk in a circle around the bima with the Torah in the middle, and while walking around we say a prayer that includes a repetition of the word Hoshana, redeem us, save us. We've discussed this before. And this recalls the ritual in the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, walking around the Mizbeach, walking around the altar. So we have this ritual of Hoshamos, every day in Shul, every day of Sukkot, except for Shabbos, because just like when the first day of Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos, we don't blow shofar. Similarly, as we discussed, when the first day of Sukkot falls on Shabbos, we don't take lulav and esrog, and so we don't walk around the bima, because we're afraid that if there be an area without an eruv, someone might forget and carry improperly. And therefore, even though we have an eruv, we have a blanket rule, no shofar on Shabbos that is Rosh Hashanah, no lulav and esrog on Shabbos that is Sukkot. But all the other days of Sukkot, we have one circuit around with a lulav and esrog. Hoshana Rabba, which means the Great Hoshana, we walk around 7 times. So, if Hoshana Rabba would fall on Shabbos, we would not walk around 7 times because we would not allow Hoshanos, just like we don't allow Hoshanos on any other day if it falls on Shabbos. So, if Hoshana Rabba were to fall on Shabbos, we would miss walking around with lulav and esrog 7 times. And therefore, our calendar will not allow Hoshana Rabba to fall on Shabbos. That's this rule of Lo Adu Rosh. And this is astounding because Rosh Hashanah can fall on Shabbos and we omit the shofar. I mean, we could have made the same rule not to let Rosh Hashanah fall on Shabbos and not to miss the shofar, but we missed the shofar on the first day of Rosh Hashanah this year. And we don't prevent the first day of Sukkot falling on Shabbos, which we could. We could have a rule that prevented the first day of Sukkot from falling on Shabbos, but we don't do that. And therefore, on the first day of Sukkot this past week, we did not take lulav and esrog. Even though those 2 mitzvos, blowing shofar and taking lulav and esrog, they're mitzvos d'oraisa, those are biblical commandments in the Torah itself. And yet, Hoshanos, which the truth is, it's not even a mitzvah, it's called minhag neviim, a custom from the prophets. We prevent Hoshana Rabbah from falling on Shabbos so we don't miss it. What is so special about Hoshana Rabbah walking around 7 times with the lulav and esrog that we can't miss its rituals for any reason, even though we miss shofar and we miss lulav and esrog? So there are a number of approaches to this. I've shared 1 or 2 with you before, but I want to share one today. This pattern of walking in a circle once every day and then walking 7 times in a circle on the 7th day, this pattern has a precedent in Sefer Yoshua, in the book of Joshua. When the Jewish people finally enter the land of Israel, Moshe has died. They're led by Joshua, Yoshua. And the first city that they come to conquer in the land of Israel is the city of Jericho, an ancient city. It was protected with a thick, heavy, fortified wall around it. And the way the Jewish people conquer the city of Jericho is as follows. In Sefer Yoshua, the book of Joshua, we read, the Jewish people march around the city 1 time each day, and on the 7th day they march around 7 times, and they conquer the city. So, our Hoshanos on Hoshana Rabbah are a recreation of conquering Jericho. Each day of Sukkot we walk around once, and on the 7th day, Hoshana Rabbah, we walk around 7 times. Okay, so we have a precedent for the structure. But how in the world is that an appropriate model for Hoshanos on Sukkos? I mean, we're asking God with these prayers, with this walking around, we're asking God to save us, to redeem us. So we're acting out what? What exactly are we acting out? We're acting out going to war against God? Conquering God like we conquered Jericho? It seems not to make any sense. And the key to the answer is 2 phrases in Sefer Yoshua, in the book of Joshua. We learn in the Navi, book of Joshua, as the Jewish people approached this first city to conquer it, we learn, V'yericho sogeres umesugeres mibnei bnei Yisrael. The city of Jericho, the city of Jericho, was closed and sealed before the Jewish people, from the Jewish people. Now, that's a very strange phrase. I would have expected it to say the city of Jericho was fortified, was defended, was strengthened against the approaching army of the Jewish people. But that's not what it says. It says that the city of Jericho was closed and sealed in the face of the approach of this Jewish army. What does that strange phrase mean? Number one. Okay, so they walk around once a day for 6 days, and then on the seventh day, they walk around 7 times. And after they march around 7 times, the Navi says, Vatipol hachoma tachteha. The walls fell. Now, it doesn't say the walls fell down. That's what you would expect. If you want to be able to get through the wall's got to fall down. Doesn't say that. Vatipol hachoma tachteha. The wall fell beneath. What does that mean? The wall surrounding the city fell beneath. Beneath what? How does a wall fall beneath? So the Talmud says, in Masechta Brachos, the Talmud says, Nivlu'u, the walls did not fall down, the walls sunk beneath the earth. In other words, the walls didn't break. They disappeared. The drama of walking around 7 times is to make barriers disappear. Now, in the case of the city of Jericho, the result was, once the walls have disappeared, that the Jewish people can conquer the city. On Sukkos, what we are achieving by walking around 7 times, by walking around the Torah 7 times, is that we are causing the barriers between us and God to disappear. And the truth is, if we're honest, there are many barriers between ourselves and God. Because God is unknowable, because sometimes we don't see that God loves us, or we don't see that God is fair to us, or because we are rebellious against God, or because we are apathetic to God. There are many barriers between ourselves and God. And so when we walk around 7 times on Hoshana Rabba, we are mirroring what happened at Jericho to cause the barriers between ourselves and God to likewise disappear. And the greatest disappearance of barriers between ourselves and God is redemption. Hoshana. God save us. Redeem us. And we actually say this when we conclude this ritual on Hoshana Rabba. After we have walked around 7 times, we add this prayer. Yehi ratzon lefanecha. May it be your will, God, our God and the God of our fathers, that you should accept our prayers and accept our walking around, v'sasir mechitzas harbarzel hamavsekes beinenu ubeinecha, and allow the disappearance of the iron wall that separates us from you. We want the barriers between ourselves and God to disappear. Our walking is a prayer in the form of movement. And this is so important because, after all, this is the goal of the entire high holiday season. We have been trying to remove barriers between ourselves that were caused by sin, that were caused by negligence, that were caused by apathy through Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, that were caused by not being aware through the Daled Minim, waving in each direction and sitting in the sukkah enveloped in God's presence. And the goal of all of that is to reach the state where we do not feel barriers between ourselves and God. And that's why this happens on the 7th, the last day of Sukkot. The truth is, this understanding of Hoshanos and the model of Jericho is crucial to understand another even more implausible reenactment, because there's another place that we reenact this pattern of conquering Jericho, and that is at every traditional Jewish wedding, under the chuppah, where the kala, the bride, walks around the groom 7 times. And it certainly seems strange to mirror the pattern of the conqueror of Jericho, but it's the same message. Because the truth is, at some level, we are all porcupines. We all have barriers, or put up barriers, that inhibit getting close to another person. Our habits, our imperfect communication, different idiosyncrasies that we have, our defensiveness. We put up barriers between ourselves and others. And so what the bride and groom attempt to recreate under the chuppah to start their marriage is to recreate this scene of Jericho, to remove the barriers between themselves. The bride and groom need this to start their marriage together, building their home together. And we need this to come closer to God. The entire calendar has to be adjusted so that we never ever miss being able to walk around 7 times to remove the barriers between ourselves and God. My friends, I wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.